Okay. I am told that it is 420 somewhere, but I guess 420 is a state of mind, right? My name is Jody James, and I am the president of Florida Cannabis Action Network, and this is different. But it is 420 on Friday, and that means it's time for Elevated Intel. We are not in the studio today. We are live from the Alt Bev conference at the beautiful convention center in Palm Beach.
Yes.
Josephine Canela Creel with our leadership team. Hector Roos, strategic planning. Masha! Yay! We so rarely get our friend Masha from ACS, and we have some other folks that are going to be popping in. So who wants to start? Josephine, what are we doing?
Well, like Jody said, we're coming to you live from the Alt Bev Expo here down in Palm Beach County Convention Center. And we are talking about alternative beverages, functional beverages, which is the wave of the future. And as I like to say, the future is now.
Yeah.
So
it's all about be here now, right?
Right on.
Yes.
There are actually, I'm looking around and I see organizations and companies from around the country. And they have had some excellent conversations happening around the corner we're in the exhibit hall in the little conference center, talking about all things alternative.
Did you sit in any of the panels today?
So I was in a panel, this last one at 2:30, Flavor is King, that one. And then...
What did we learn?
What did we learn? It's complicated.
Okay. The creating these beverages is complicated?
Sure. So, it's with beverages, it's not just about, so with cannabis, it's about the product, right? It's, what are the terpenes? What are the genetics? What are the conversation is all about the plant. With beverages, it's not that.
Yes.
Right?
It's weird, huh?
You're talking about the effects. How's it going to make me feel?
And how's it going to taste?
How's it going to taste?
Right.
It's a different lens, right? So that's interesting.
Okay.
And the flavor. So this is cool, right? So we know from being in cannabis, because we love weed. I'm like, a drink tastes like weed. I love it. Like, yeah. The CPG people, consumer packaged goods people, who I love, they're coming from a different
perspective.
It's a different. They have a different lens.
Yes.
Everyone has a different lens. It's
Right.
all like, what lens are you looking at it? If it tastes like weed, it's not going to make a good soda, right? So flavor is so important. Flavor. So Flavor is King. Lori from Source, who led the panel, she was great. She would just tie it into. So flavor is important. Ingredients are important. Testing, of course, I'm with the ACS Laboratory. So for those of you guys that don't know, we're one of the first. We are like the OG lab in Florida. We did the first test ever in Florida, the first medical marijuana test. When it wasn't even required to test. We didn't even know what the rules are. Now we know what the rules. But we just kind of started testing for what we thought the rules would be.
In the hemp space or in the medical
In the cannabis space.
Okay. Cannabis in general.
And hemp also.
It was
Roger was because we have a chief scientist, Asia, who is just brilliant, Dr. Asia Sun, and she was like, well, these are the things that I think are important. We're like, okay, that's a testing scope, and that's how it grew. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's wild. But
ACS was already a testing company before they decided to move into
we were a clinical lab for So, but we've been testing beverages since 2020. So this is what's interesting.
2020.
Since 2020.
So when do you, does anybody know how, I don't know that I was seeing cannabis beverages in 2020. So that's kind of a surprise to me.
Don't realize it. Remember CBD living water? You don't know CBD living water?
No, but I remember hemp and ale, but it was made from seed, right? And fermented the same way as beer.
They said there was CBD water, that came out. But then there was a very bad article that came out. I think it was in the New York Times that tested all these beverages across the board, and they said most of them had no CBD in it. Okay. And it was very self-serving because I remember thinking as a lab, if I wanted to pull products off and just test them and talk about it, that's so self-serving. Like, why would we do that? You know, just don't shame anybody. Do it in a way, like, let's just educate.
To make the industry better as opposed to
let's
shaming.
make better product. Let's not shame. It's
old tapes. We sat in, Hector, we sat in on a panel with Jen.
Yes.
J Mac was
Jennifer Macris
from
Cannabis Cash Queen,
and our leadership team, and this year's president of C Lab. She did a panel. What were your takeaways from her panel? You want to hold that?
Sure. First of all, it was really interesting to see half the room was not from Florida. That was really interesting. The other part is recognition that the marketing aspect of this, that they don't want to talk about this as a hemp beverage, CBD or THC. They want to talk about the functionality of the does this give you energy? Does it make you calm? Does it?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's the feeling.
Right.
They want to talk about the feeling, the experience. That's it. Use cases to be a nerd, right?
Right.
Will this help me take a nap? Will this help me wake up? You know?
Right.
And cannabis just doesn't do that enough. And it's so easy to do it with beverages, with the packaging, with the... You know what else is interesting, I think? So, like, that's a can, right? And now you have other makers that are making liqueur.
Right.
In beautiful
We saw
glass.
some wines.
We saw some wine down there.
Yes. But so think
they
about
took
this.
the alcohol out of the wine
Yes.
and added THC.
Yes.
Well,
I thought that was astounding. Say hi, Steve. Come say hi.
Come say hello.
Steve is amazing.
And
We
here
are-
is
we
the
are
man
live.
of the hour, Steve, with Baked.
Got a couple people. Say hi, Steve.
He is one of the organizers of the Alt Bev Expo. So thanks for dropping in. This is our elevated intel. We go live every Friday at 4:20.
So what made you decide, speaking of elevated intel, what made you decide that this was the time for an alternate beverage? This is your first one.
Yep.
Why now?
Well, we do other events. You know, all of our team do multiple other events every year, and we've just been inundated over the past couple years by brands entering the market, and how we can only have so many brands at a Turt Basel or something. And so we knew, like, one, there's way more brands than we could accommodate at a regular event. And then as we're talking to the brands, we're getting comments from them, like they're asking us questions that we help them. You know, some people need help with packaging, distribution, all kinds of information. We just realized that there's a real gap of information out there, and then especially even in this market where we see brands entering the market that we like, but they don't understand the market. So we're just like, we need to do something that focuses on this space and just creates information sharing, just like we do with our other events, but on the business side, and just like work together.
And you're going to do another one of these in the Tampa Bay area in October.
Yep, October
So
14th and
folks
15th, Tampa
get
Convention
here.
Center.
Very
Yep,
cool.
absolutely.
Okay.
Even bigger.
Very good. Well, this is very interesting, and it's an amazing space, right? Because there's so much happening state by state, happening federally, and so how is? I'm a whole plant girl.
Yep.
Yes.
And Josephine had a conversation. You want to share the conversation you had with the person who said they don't use cannabis?
Okay. So I did stop in. Actually, I was walking by one of the booths, and I had a big smile on my face, and the person said, "How you doing?" And I responded, "I'm excellent." And he replied, "Well, I'm even better." And I said, "Okay, well, tell me more." So he was like, "Well, I've had some of these," and he asked me, "Would you like some?" And I was like, "No, I'm a whole plant cannabis girl."
Yep.
And he said, "Oh, well, I don't do cannabis." And I said, "Okay." And so I said, so I didn't think there was THC in the product because he just told me he doesn't do cannabis, right? So I said, okay, so what makes this so special that, you're doing better than me? And he said, well, it's a THC drink.
So
Interesting.
So the panel that I sat in this
That's
morning.
interesting.
So I was just kind of like,
Yeah. So with the panel that I sat in this morning, because one of the things that we talk about is more access, right? That we like this space because it'll give more access to people. What happens if they don't know it's cannabis? And they don't, and I said to Josephine, I said, well, what did you say? She said, I didn't say anything because I knew how the conversation was going to go. It was going to go, well, THC is in cannabis. And they were going to say, well, this isn't from cannabis, it's from hemp.
Right. Yes, no, it's
Because
so
hemp is
silly.
not cannabis.
It's so
Oh,
silly.
wait, hemp is cannabis. Hemp is
And
cannabis.
And if you look at the lab results, it's the same.
It is
course.
100%.
It's the
100%.
molecules.
Yes.
You know,
Thank
it's
you.
the same plant. You can't tell the difference between hemp terpenes or cannabis terpenes. They're just terpenes.
So
They're
your
just,
mission, my friend,
you know, it's to unite. To unite.
is to make
Should you
sure
choose to
that
accept
we
it.
get, you know, that we're hitting so that people understand.
yeah.
Wait, what do I do with this thing? You never know.
Just keep it near you.
This is what this looks like. I always, on camera, I was like, what is that fuzzy thing that everyone keeps, like,
Well, we usually don't, but
Yeah.
we have our wonderful friend from Ariana from Washington, D.C. What's the name of Ariana's brand?
oh, Yana, she's
And
so
Yana,
cute. I met her.
yes.
Yes, I think we test for her, actually.
And you know what? I thought it was
Let me put this over
adorable.
here.
You are not alone. Yana.
Yes.
You are not alone.
alone.
Yes.
Amazing.
And we're not
I got
alone.
it. I got
Yes.
it right away.
Yes.
We're not
Only
alone
took me
online.
once.
We have Colette saying hi.
Hi,
Colette.
Colette.
Colette sent hugs to the team, by the way. Thanks for
Hi,
being
Colette.
here with us, Colette.
I want to say hi to Colette.
And, you know, we do talk about the news, and this has been a busy week for Florida Cannabis Action Network. Not only are we here, but we've been in Tallahassee. Most people have seen that we're going to be finishing our hemp bill in the House this
Yes.
week coming up. So that, I said to Hector, I said, I have no idea what the news is. We've been so busy making news that I haven't paid any attention. So what are you following? Do you follow? Is there any story out there that you watched this week that you were like, wow, that blows me away?
Yeah. So, you know, what blows me away is like now. I'm probably get in trouble, but that's okay. I'm
That's all right. I'm going to go into a space
So
that might
I
get me
hear
in
that,
trouble too.
you know, that products are getting taken off the shelves because they don't have a full panel COA from the original input material.
Right. Okay.
So that is like, wow.
So
right?
is that in Florida in particular that you've seen that?
So I hear.
Okay.
All
right.
This is for educational purposes only.
100%,
Like none of this is true. Nothing that I say is true. Right? It's
Entertainment,
it's
education,
for
right?
entertainment. We can say it entertainment instead of education.
Entertainment.
Interesting. I like that. So this is
and happening live.
So products getting taken off the shelves because there's no on the input materials. So, and this is important
Right, so my
because
finished product has its COA.
Yes.
But the beginning.
Yes.
Okay. Very interesting.
now keep in mind that the compliant hemp COA gets created 2 weeks before harvest.
Right.
I'm just gonna plant that there.
Right.
100%.
But
And
Steve, any
that's
other
part
news
of
you're
it.
following?
Are you
Well,
you've
you know,
been
I'm
getting
just-
ready for a conference.
Yeah.
All of the pushback that's gone on, like state after state, with this pushback, trying to reverse things, that just tells me that we're on to something.
100%.
And I love what Florida Can is doing, you know, to move regulation in the right direction. But, you know, I'll be bad like Masha and just say that I'm not going to stop using cannabis. I don't care what the regulations are.
Right.
So they can like it or lump it as far as I'm concerned. I live in America. This is supposed to be the land of the free, and I'm a free individual person, and I'm going to live that way. Whether or not the regulations follow me, they'll have to just catch up in one way or the other. They'll have to catch up with me. And I think as long as we keep that energy and not back down to this, we're going to win. You know, the dinosaurs can be on the wrong side of history all they want. We've seen that with so many markets. Just let them keep fighting. We'll keep fighting. They're going to lose if history is any indication.
And I want to jump in with a challenge.
Uh-oh.
I want to jump in with a challenge for the space,
Okay.
for this new and blossoming industry. You know, my background is as a clinical social worker, so we work with vulnerable and marginalized. And we have worked in the Florida Can on legislation from the very beginning. And one of the things that our primary focus has been is patient protections. Right. Now, we know with cannabis that society is evolving much more quickly than regulations, right. And even slower behind the regulation is policies and procedures in organizations. And my challenge is to the folks who are entering this space to please focus on education, because we have people that have been negatively impacted in their jobs, in their careers, because they don't realize that just because this is something that is purchased over the counter, they think this is a safe space for me to dabble in. I've had people say, oh no, I'm not going to get my med card because I can't get the THC. Use it, because if I flunk a urine test, but yet they're doing I can lose my job. And that's the number one, actually for years now, that's the number one email correspondence that I get from folks is, hey, I've been using this. I had an accident at work. What happens when you have an accident at work? Because workers' comp has a stipulation. The first thing you need to do is you need to go get a drug test.
Right. On the way to the hospital sometimes.
So folks don't realize that hemp-derived THC is the same as marijuana. As cannabis.
And one thing I just want to say, let's say you went to a doctor and were on a painkiller, right?
100%.
And if you had that same accident and had to get a drug test and you notified them, you said, hey, my doctor prescribed this. That's okay because
Walk
it's
away, right.
Right. But this, no.
And I'm going to take it one step further even, because I do work with a lot. I mean, I work in hospitals, so I work with a lot of patients who have chronic illnesses. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest, I can't think of the word, but one of the biggest interactions is with blood thinners.
With blood thinners?
So
cannabis
people
and
are on
thinners?
blood thinners, then they're taking cannabis beverages, whatever it might be, and what happens is their blood gets even thinner.
Right.
And there's no regulation because you're not having these conversations with your doctors. So I just think, to come from a place of integrity, I really want to challenge these companies to understand what these compounds do to the human body. How do they interact?
That's the thing, right? Because it's beautiful branding and feeling and right. How are you going to feel?
That's my challenge.
It's a bump. What do you mean? How am I going to feel? There's a drink called Bump. I'm like, what is it? Is it cocaine? What is it? So, but that's the thing, right?
And how is the policy going to roll out? How is this going to impact the rest of my life?
Great product, by the way. Good job.
We're actually seeing some beautiful brands.
It's
here.
amazing. Yes.
People who are really very concerned about making sure that their products are quality.
But this is what I heard. I heard something very disturbing is that there's people in the beverage category that want to make a cutout for beverages and are saying, you know what, you want to ban hemp, go ahead, but beverages should be okay. And I'm like, where are you getting your hemp from? There's actually disagreement within and that's
I can make synthetic THC if you are not someone who cares about cannabis.
But don't you see it? This is all an illusion. All these different sects that are being pitted against each other, that's all 100%. BS.
But for the first 20 years I did this, you could not talk about cannabis in a flipping head shop.
Right. Yeah. No.
Talk about natural allies. Yeah. No, they pitted us against each other. I couldn't get the AIDS organization to fund us in '98, even though we knew that cannabis was effective for HIV/AIDS, because their role in the HIV/AIDS Foundation was to help people get well so they could go back to work. And if they got well and tried to go back to work on cannabis, they couldn't go back to work.
I want to point out, though, that in the backdrop to all this is that
He's talking to Josephine's boob. It's good.
Literally, we're here because people actually want other options for beverages.
100%.
They don't
Yes.
want they don't necessarily want alcohol.
Right.
They don't want sugary drinks. They want different experiences that make them feel something honestly better, right? And have a better experience. And
So
I love
cruise
it.
ships. I went out last night. I had a drink. My ankles start to swell. I don't feel good this morning. One drink. I'm not a good drinker. I'm allergic to wine. It's a very sad life that I live. Thank God there's cannabis.
Thank
But Cannabis Action Network has a group cruise that we're doing in November, right? It's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, it's going to be cannabis free because that's the way the cruise ships want it.
Right. Because
So when cruise ships can start to serve these kind of drinks again, I may get the drink package again.
Cannabis free in my room.
well, you need the
Probably. Well, we will see you. We're all going to have a balcony, and we'll share a balcony, so
I gotta
you're
run to the
invited.
after party.
We will
I love
see
it.
you at the
You guys
after
are
party.
And we'll see you there.
Make sure we're on a list.
Wait, we need Matt to jump in and say hello if he
Matt's
wants
gotta come
to.
say hello.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, I appreciated I had a great time with Matt this morning. Matt is
Matt, come
one
in.
of the
Come in and
other.
say hello.
Yeah, pop in and say hello.
Meanwhile,
What's up, guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I appreciate the time. Oh no, I was just listening to what you guys were talking about, and I love the cruise ship, topic as well.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I can relate to is we go to comedy clubs constantly, and you go to a comedy show and they have a 2-drink minimum, and we're not alcohol drinkers, but a lot of times I'll just order, a glass of whiskey or whatever just to, satisfy their requirements. But if there was THC drinks available on the menu, I'd much rather order that. So
Yes.
And it would be funnier.
Yeah.
might even drink free.
So yeah, we're just all about just trying to push the boundaries, get some of these people that are less comfortable with this category, kind of ease them into it, and the beverages seem to be a real a less threatening form factor for people because they're that's what they're used to, is going out and getting a cocktail. So it's just like instead of ABV on the can, it's THC, right?
And as a great host, please plug yourself.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm Matt Streich, one of the founders of Alt Bev Expo. Steve's my partner. We also do other events, Turp Basel in Miami every year. But this is the first Alt Bev Expo. We got another one coming up in October, and I just plan to continue doing more of these. And we appreciate all your guys' support.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, I mean, just one last thing I'll say is just I think people that are just trying to to the point about people talking about ban hemp but leave beverages. Those are vultures that are just out for their own benefit and not. They don't care about the whole category as a whole. If that's how your outlook is, you don't really belong in this space. And it's just like anything else. If you make it illegal, the people that don't follow laws are going to do it anyway.
Right.
And the law-abiding citizens are going to be kind of, with getting the short end of the stick.
That part.
It's just like, I'll say a controversial thing here, but it's just like, banning guns, right? If you ban guns, only criminals will have guns because criminals don't care if you ban it; they'll just do it anyway.
Criminals.
But then, the law-abiding citizen that they always say, like, how do you stop a bad guy with a gun? A good guy with a gun, right? So it's like then that guy's not around because he's following the law and he's. So I know people they don't like those topics, but it's an analogy I saw a connection with, so I wanted to
Matt,
point it out.
we've been talking about a topic that people haven't wanted to talk about for a very
Right,
long time.
and we're in Florida of all states, so I feel like it's a relevant
So I think
conversation.
the gun conversation is really ironic. One of the guys that's, he's a strong Second Amendment. He's open carry guy. Everybody should be allowed to have a gun.
Right.
He put in a bill this year, luckily it didn't go anywhere, that would have made it illegal for me to have my cannabis in my purse next
Right.
to me if my container had been
Right.
if the
Well,
seal
for a
was
while
broken.
here,
I can have my gun
Right.
on the seat next to me, but not my cannabis because I'm
For a-
responsible enough not to shoot you in
Right.
a road rage, but I'm not responsible enough to leave it.
My dad
on the
always
seat.
has a joke. He said, people ask him, "How do I know you?" He says, "From weed." And they're like, "What do you mean by that?" He goes, "Because if I didn't smoke weed, I'd be in jail for murder, and you wouldn't know me." So, so.
We love your dad.
I'll end it on that note, but I appreciate you guys.
Well, that's a great place to start. Excellent. Are we getting any comments?
Yeah, we're going to do a quick shout out to Dr. Barry Gordon.
Hi, Dr. Barry.
Kudos to Josephine for reminding us of what's most important.
That's
All
it.
right, there you
Truth,
go.
truth.
And Colette Florido is asking, is anyone making the functional beverages from non-synthesized plants?
Of course.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Everyone. Not everyone. I mean, yes. There's full spectrum. There's whole plant beverages. Yes.
Just like any other product out there.
Wait a minute. Is Ariana?
Yana's gonna-
Somebody going to show me how to do this glass of weed?
Well, I'll give you an example.
Do you know how to do this?
So, like Liberty, I'm looking at Liberty right here, and they use, a full
I don't know, maybe
spectrum.
Jen?
Yeah.
Jen, have you seen the weed on tap?
It's amazing.
Amazing.
You know what?
Can I have weed on tap? Can you show me how to
We
do
should
this?
do. Can we do we should do product tastings here, like a whole show. Like have everyone bring their product over. No, tell every person from every booth to bring their shit
I
over,
would
and
be
then
so sick.
you're right.
Or do I want to do consumption on
No.
Facebook?
Okay.
Oh no. Okay. Thank you.
No,
Okay.
Well,
Yes, Mom.
This is interesting. So,
Fine.
but,
Hemp beverages?
we do
Could I
have some-
consume them?
And that is actually hemp. You know what? It's complete with a legal realm.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I thought
this
that
is
was
a legal hemp product.
I am
product.
so confused.
You are correct.
And
You are correct.
I have no idea.
But it is not turning on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So-
maybe
Okay.
tomorrow.
It will.
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll be
So yes,
Hannah.
there's amazing ingredients out there and ingredient makers. I think beverages are almost like I'm going to say like an equalizer. Like it's what I mean when you
It
see.
demands to be treated like a food product.
Yes, and this is my prediction. I'm going to predict this. So,
Okay.
so mark
Dun,
this day.
dun, dun.
Mark this day. I predict that a lot of the hemp brands that have taken their time to create a really good beverage are going to unify with the cannabis brand that does not have that for product line extension.
Right.
And I would say that's how we make up. That's how we unify. As long as the corporate cultures go together, right? Which is important.
Yeah, there's seltzer products.
But
I was very curious, and I said to my team, I said, I wish the question that I were asking these guys is, are you here to bring a legacy brand, or are you here to make a brand and sell? So, that's,
This is so
all in
different
how you
because
put
the
your company together. It's
intention
about your intention.
this
behind
is, yes.
those two different
Absolutely.
perspectives.
But this is why beverages are so different.
Yeah.
It's inventing itself. We're like building the plane as we're flying it, as the expression goes, right? We're flying. We're flying. And we tested a beverage for shelf life to see if it would last like 3 months or 6 months, and it exploded. It exploded in the chamber.
Right.
And we were like, oh my God. And it's because like the level of carbonation was just like a tad off.
Right.
And that was an insight we were able to give them.
Yeah.
Because imagine just being distributed and all of a sudden it blows up in the truck.
in the
Right? So
truck.
there's like so many little things that we're just learning also.
Absolutely.
It's cool. It's a great, people here are so nice. I have to say they're nicer than, sorry
Well,
guys.
We are asking tough questions. It's Florida Cannabis Action Network's job to ask some questions. One of the things that we know is that THC can be degraded by aluminum. So how are they?
And sugar, by the way.
And sugar. So there is an awful lot to learn in this space. I don't want to stay here for very much longer this evening. I know this is kind of going to be a short,
Well, we have to
short
get to
episode.
the- we have to get to
I
the
want
after
you to
party.
actually. Well, actually, we need to get to the news.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about? All right, say goodbye.
Give me a kiss.
Good to see you, my friend. We'll see you at the after party.
Thank you.
All right.
Fun.
Thanks for popping
See you in
in.
a little bit.
Good to see you. Here you go. Do you want to talk a little bit about what happened in Tallahassee this week?
Well, there's lots of things happening in Tallahassee. There's still more lawsuits from the Smart and Safe campaign.
Right.
So that goes on.
Brand new blog.
The
You have a blog
brand new
out.
blog
People
post
can find
to
it.
talk the quick overview on where we're at. Florida Supreme Court is hearing challenges from the Smart and Safe campaign regarding their ballot initiative to bring recreational to the state. And that can continue for months, really, until really the harder deadline is really like it's too late to put it on the ballot, which is like another 5 months away.
Right.
So they can keep at this for a long time, but our personal news is like our project of the year has been among other things, the veteran cards bill. that is looking for passed its third and final committee
In the House of
in the Florida House of Representatives, and is scheduled to be heard on the floor of the House of Representatives on Wednesday. So that and that gets voted on. I mean, it's gone through 3 committees with 20 representatives each, 30 representatives each. So basically, most of the Florida House has already heard and approved this bill by HB 887 by Representative Susan Valdez.
Yes, Susan.
And so once that happens, it then has to go to it will be sent to the Senate, where they will consider it, and we'll be back in the state capitol. Asking them to please not delay.
Don't let it die.
Don't let it, you got to pick it up. You got to, there's an opportunity now for the Senate to really not do the right thing that they missed doing the last session when this similar bill came up last session.
Our timing is good this year. We've had a lot of support from various veterans groups.
Absolutely.
Not only do we have, 8 years of history with folks coming up, but the Grateful Veterans spent 3 or 4 or 5, 6 visits up. We've had GI Green coming up this year. And of course, that's all building on the work that people like Buds for Vets and Weed for Warriors has done for the last 5 years. So we're very excited to be part of that launch.
So I think Susan Valdez, Representative Susan Valdez, had filed a similar bill, 3 years ago?
2 years ago.
2
years ago. We had Crystal from Crew to Cannabis leading the charge that year.
She's a veteran.
Tammy Long from Battle Buds kept the conversation going last year, where a bill that would have given complimentary cards got as far as the House, but it was at the very last minute, very end of session. So the idea that we still have 2 weeks to work this bill in the Senate means that it really has all the time that it needs. Now, Florida Cannabis Action Network always could use your financial support to make sure that we have the money that we need to continue to keep our legislative watch going. It takes a lot of our organizational energy, takes a lot of our volunteer resources to track these bills. This week I got to be here, and Carla Ashburn, who is the founder of Care and has 2 doctor's offices on the West Coast, she left the team to run the doctor's office while she went to run the action in Tallahassee.
It takes a lot to keep a team up in Tallahassee.
100%.
And, I mean, that's really having boots on the ground and, having folks there to put a face to the name is exceedingly important.
Well, and we've looked at, could we hire a lobbyist? But really, a lobbyist may buy you a little bit of access, but having faces up there week after week, having real people telling real stories, that gives us a credibility that you just can't buy with your lobbying dollars. So, while it might sound good to just pay somebody, they're not going to have one client. And for Florida Cannabis Action Network, the one client we have now is the consumer.
Right.
For a decade, I said, I speak for the plant, just like the damn Lorax, right? Because the plant couldn't speak for itself.
And I was your counterpart that spoke for the people,
The plant, the
because
people.
you have the plant and the people, and that's who we really represented. We were not real. I mean, back in the beginning, we certainly weren't representing an industry because there was no industry.
Right. So we missed Cynthia Brewer being here this week. Cynthia had some drive time and wasn't sure she would be able to get separated. I have every reason to believe that we will be back in our regular format this next Friday.
Which is great, because I say Cynthia is funny AF, and I know that I'm not as funny as Cynthia is, so I miss
So it
that.
was Cynthia that was funny, not
No,
me.
it was
okay, fine.
the interplay between the two of you.
We have great.
That was
We have
funny
great energy.
AF.
We're having a lot of fun,
100%.
and we really appreciate when people pay attention and watch. We get to interact with people who are watching the show and have questions. We really enjoy that. This was an educational event for our team. We wanted to make sure that we understood this space. There's going to be an awful lot of legislation coming through in the coming years. We did see some of this already. You know, one of the bills that we were following initially was really about cannabis beverages. That open container was not about my medicine bottle. It was about whether or not I was going to be able to pop the top on a cannabis beverage and drive down the road.
You know what
100%.
else? You know what else is not going to be law?
What's that?
That people won't have to go to an MMTC where only sex offenders are going to live.
We won on that one, right? We won on that one. It's been a good year. But you know that really is about accessibility. I am sad that we were not able to hold the line though. So as much as that is a win, when we set up the initial program, an MMTC dispensing retail facility was supposed to be any place a pharmacy could be. And I'm telling you right now, there is a pharmacy right across the street from my elementary school, and nobody thinks twice about it. There is a Circle K on the way home. My kids had to go past the Circle K selling booze in order to get home. So, you know, we are a long ways from treating this product like we do parity to some other intoxicating beverages, but we're closer. Of course, that guy doesn't do cannabis. He just does THC beverages. I don't know how we message past that, but that is certainly some of the stuff that I'm trying to learn this weekend. Do you have any goals for the conference, Josephine?
You know, I like to be in the know. I believe that knowledge is power, and so I definitely want to learn as much as I can. And then, of course, you know, besides being part of Florida Cannabis Action Network, I do community relations for the Flowery, which is one of Florida's MMTCs. So I am looking to connect with medical card patients and educate them on our products and our stores.
Well, I was excited to see so many people from out of state or people who recently moved to Florida interested in this business and actually experienced in other states. And by the way, this still has one more full day of Expo. So if you're in the West Palm Beach area, you're welcome to come by. But I also saw some people who are not in the space whatsoever, and they're in the actual beverage market, food market, right? And they're wondering how can they expand their existing line.
Right.
And it's so fascinating to see what's holding them back.
Okay.
Right. So it's interesting. It is interesting to see all the networking, and people are asking us like, well, who can I talk to about this? And one guy was saying, I have experience in this industry. I'm looking for a job. Like, and I'm C-level, right?
I'm a C-suite kind of guy. I'm a C-suite kind of guy.
Cannabis suite.
I am I'm a C-suite kind of girl. It's always cannabis, and my suite always smells sweet. But I think that for me, it is figuring out if there are brands that are going to be operating in Florida that I want to share my credibility with. That is probably, you know, at some point, Florida Cannabis Action Network has to educate our community about beverages. We also are responsible for educating the beverage community about what is going to be best for the consumer. Again, just because it tastes good, if they're not aware that the THC is degrading, as Masha mentioned, if they're not aware that this much carbonation versus that much carbonation is the sweet spot, we're going to have disappointed consumers. We're going to have people who get over the dose or under the dose. And if I just paid $9 for a beverage and I get no buzz at all, I am not buying it again. Right? I'm not.
Well, you know, the big superstar this convention so far has been Mary, and you know, with her line of hemp these functional beverages.
Mary Farrow.
Yeah.
From Farrow.
Who's off camera there?
So a lot of interesting. There's probably. I'm looking at maybe 15 or 20 brands here, so probably 40 brands.
Well, I think
brands?
ultimately it's just like seeing who's doing it right,
40.
who's setting the standard, and we communicate. Oh, it's the easiest thing. Just look at what they're doing. Just do it like them, right?
There you go. There you go.
And what are their extraction processes? You know, I like to ask that question and get a blank stare back. Well, if you don't know, you know, what your source for THC is, I would like us also, to be able to focus on educating
Is a consumer
consumers.
going to care?
But that's the important part.
So we need to make them
educate
care.
Consumers to know the types of questions, because absolutely there's a difference. But if you're extracting a compound from the plant, or if you're synthesizing a compound from another compound,
Well, to tell you the truth,
it's very nuanced.
People do
Most
it-
people don't care.
But people-
I care,
Yeah,
and
and
I
it's
want
important.
them to care.
People have allergies.
Well, anything you put,
yeah,
I'll
super.
go back. When I first started testifying about cannabis, 12, 13 years ago, I always talked about we need to care about what we put on or in our body, even if it's a blueberry. So this is even more important, I feel like.
Okay. Very good. We did get notified this week that FMCCE
Yes.
happening the last weekend in May is
Yep.
going to be better than ever. I spoke to Gene
does
Jones.
FMCC mean?
So that's the Florida Medical Cannabis Conference and Expo.
Orlando again?
It will be
Yes.
at the Rosen Center in Orlando. Gene's what did he say? Maybe the 8th? I think he might have said. I wrote it down. I was like, really? Have we been doing this with Gene for that long? He brings together a fabulous group. If you are a doctor in the space, check with your True Leave rep. There are some discounts for True Leave reps. If you're a Florida Can member, you'll be getting a code in your email. If you're not a Florida Can member, well, if you want the code, it'll be in your email, and all you have to do to become a member is join online. But it's a great opportunity. There will be continuing medical education credits for doctors. There'll be a legislative update, maybe even a couple panels to educate lawmakers.
And you get to hang out with us.
Well, there's always that. There's always that. So look for more things. Some of the stuff that Florida Can is looking to do is find some of you folks that are out there doing a great job at where you're at, and let us come in and bring some educational information to you. Let us make sure that you have a direct line to finding out what's happening with the lawmakers. We did a great event with C-Lab in Tallahassee, and one of the things that people were excited about was that lawmakers came, right?
Right.
We had a couple lawmakers.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know what? If you do an event in West Palm, we got a few friends down here, and if you got to do an event in Tampa, we got a few friends there, and we got a few friends in Miami. And it's actually, they're interested in this conversation. So we're interested in connecting you with these kinds of folks, the people who are actually going to be making decisions. I told somebody today, I said, well, there's a lot of people in the educational space in cannabis, and we're really glad for that. That's what we need. We just decided that our target audience was going to be the 160 people who made the laws. We're still doing cannabis education. We're just doing cannabis education with policymakers. So I'm going to educate myself so that I can do a better job.
Absolutely.
And you are going to do what?
I'm just going to give a shout out to Stu, who's been producing behind the camera there.
Yay!
Come around the corner.
Our friend from Canopy HR. This was very cool. Stu and I had a conversation today about what his company was doing, and I was like, well, wait a minute, what about insurance? It's like, no, we did it's like fiduciary responsibility, we got you. Keep it simple. No, we'll do that. Oh, okay. You want to tell us more about, you can do it, you tell.
Sure. So Canopy HR is the cannabis vertical for Venture Employer Solutions, and we run payroll, taxes, HR, admin, benefits, 401k, workers' comp, and basically everything employee touching that anyone could hope for. All of the administrative tasks and the paperwork people hate to do, we take care of that for them.
Well, and what I was fascinated by was the idea that this is a really credible company, and they have decided to venture, no offense, pun intended, into this cannabis space, and so they already figured out what they're doing. They knew what the risks were. They're not going to pull out and suddenly change their mind in 10 minutes. They went into this intentional to make sure that there was a quality product so that these companies can become compliant.
Yeah, absolutely. They saw a market that needed this kind of same opportunity as other markets have, and we've seen other companies that were trying to do a similar thing get bought out and have to drop their cannabis clients. So having it be the opposite situation where a large company that had multiple cannabis clients for years and understood their needs kind of broke out a secondary company just to address those needs. So it's very specialized and very customer focused.
Right on.
Yeah, it's been fun. And Stu's been with us for a few years, so we're glad to have Stu as a member and one of our business partners. You know, I can give Stu a job reference. And he sits in on committees with us, and he's always the first person to make sure that, you know, if he's been asked to do something, it's done. We have some cannabis procrastinators. Right. I've set notes. You know, I've got to tell Sally tomorrow that it's due because she didn't do it yet last week when she said so. But that is not a Stu.
No, I also hear through the grapevine that Stu's usually the first one to ask a question in the panel discussion.
I've heard that too. I'm not surprised. Inquiring cannabis minds need to know. You know, this has been a different format for Elevated Intel today. I hope that you enjoyed it. This alternative beverage space is more than just THC. We're seeing functional mushroom beverages. Yes. There was a beverage with a coca extract. Kava extracts, kratom extracts. So a whole lot of interesting products that are going to be able to get shipped mainstream. If we start using some of those standards, there's going to be a lot of questions on how we're going to roll this out and who's going to control this marketplace. Right. And if this is something of interest to you, stick with Florida Cannabis Action Network. We're interested too. All right.
The future is now.
I heard that. Yeah. Wait, no, that was 45 minutes ago. The future was 45 minutes ago. I don't know what you're talking about. We are going to head out to the after party. Thank you very much for paying attention to us today. Somebody's going to have to get up from this table and go say goodbye.
Signing off from the Alt Bev Expo here in beautiful Palm Beach County. We are the Florida Cannabis Action Network, and I have one question for you. Are you one of us? flcan.org.